Hey everyone! Today we're going to talk about the death of social media and why it's time to transform social from an exploitive,
Exploitive. Exploitive.
exploited entertainment toy into a tool for global cooperation. Thanks, Peter. Welcome to Invincible Innovation Live. So I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Mazor, Kario, product innovation and value creation expert, and I'll be your host. And today we have a very important guest, Peter, that helped me in the beginning, so it's a good start. Thanks, Peter, for being here.
Thank you. I'm
Peter
thrilled to be
Montoya.
here.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here. Peter Montoya is the CEO of Urth with the U. So we're so happy to have you. We're live on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, and you're so invited to join the discussion. And now we can start. I could tell you that when I thought about this discussion, I said I have so much to say about social media that I hope that we'll have the time in these 40 minutes just to capture the essence of what are the emotions that brings to me and to other, I guess, people who view us and listen to us. So let's start with what's wrong with social media as you
Oh,
see it.
I'm so incredibly curious about the emotions that social media gives you. So when you hear social media, what emotions come up for you?
Especially anger. I feel like I'm
Hmm.
so angry that we all got to the point, I'm included, to a point that you can't do with it and you can't do without it.
Hmm.
And you need it for certain like places in your life. Like I use LinkedIn so much. On the other side, it seems like it's navigating the way you think, it's navigating the way that we behave, it's navigating, and it's like these blinders that you have for horses, so it makes your view of the world so narrow, and it makes me angry to think about what we're doing, especially what our kids are doing. I have 4 kids, and for me, it's like I'm trying to figure out what does that mean for their future. So that's what comes up to my mind.
That is a perfect starting point, and I am right with you. I'm a combination of just angry and incredibly disappointed because social media could be so much more. The promise of what it could be is so great, and what it currently is so rotten. And so
Yeah,
it's so disruptive to human beings that it's so disappointing. Social
yeah,
media, and I'm going to paint a broad brush across all social media platforms, and not all of them are as bad as what I'm going to describe. LinkedIn is, fairly benign. It's a really good
yeah,
reputational connecting point for professionals. I happen to like TikTok a lot just for
really.
what it is. It's just pure entertainment. However, it's really addictive entertainment, and so people are
Yeah,
there for 6 hours a day, and it's kind of a waste of time. But it isn't nearly as corrupt as some of the other social media platforms. So, social media, what it currently is an exploitive entertainment toy that robs us of our happiness and our dignity, and actually is changing our brains. It's
yeah,
changing us from having longer, more empathetic focus and concentration to being short, having short attention spans, which are very, very judgmental. And also, we're becoming more lonely, anxious, and isolated. So,
yeah.
I think that's my starting point with my disappointment with social media.
Yeah. So, how would you answer someone who would say, how can you blame everything for like that's loneliness is something so vivid and everybody feels that, but it's like the fact that we're living in cities and we don't live in small groups and we're so far apart and we work so hard. So, how can you focus that social media is part of the problem? How, or maybe the main problem as you see it?
It certainly is part of the problem. So human beings were designed to live in small tribes of 100 to 200 people. And these containers that you and I live in, called houses and apartments, with all of our privacy, where we are in a dyadic container with one other primary partner and maybe a couple of kids, is not how we were designed. We were designed to raised and live in a tribe. Human beings are herd animals. So if ever you've seen a herd of zebras or a herd of elephants. That's how we were meant to be raised. But because of the way our society has evolved over the last couple hundred years, with cars creating suburbs and our own little houses, that's a large part of the reason of why we are alone the way we're alone. And then social media, kind of on top of that, only exasperated that condition that already existed.
Yeah.
So social media is at its absolute worst. And I don't know if you're guilty of this. I certainly am, of laying in bed with my back to my partner's back on my phone, on social media. That's when
Yeah.
social media is at its worst, when it's keeping you apart from the person you're right next to. And social media is at its very best when it facilitates real world interactions. So we are an incredibly social animal, and we need not only this proximity of having a Zoom call, a stream chat is good, but it's
Yeah.
not nearly as good as you and I
I
being
totally,
face to face,
I
actually at a
totally
coffee
agree
shop
with
or something
that.
like that.
So next time you're in Israel, we're going to do the real thing, and we're going to have a chat.
I'd love that.
But
I have not been to Israel yet, but my mother-in-law loves Israel, and she wants me to go so badly. So it's high on my
so
list of places to go.
you should. So at least you have a first conversation for sure there. So you should come. But I will tell you what I think. Like first, for you asked me about